Oh, there it is. You know what that is? That's my radio show hotline. He was a member of the Los Angeles Lakers from 1983 to 1993 and again in 96 and 97. Three-time NBA champion, NBA Coach of the Year in 2008. Ladies and gentlemen, Morningside High School in Inglewood, California's own Byron Scott. Hey, Byron, how are you?
I'm good, Rick. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for joining us. We want to take you back in time a little bit, Byron. You were the number 4 pick in the 1983 draft by the San Diego Clippers and then traded to the Lakers for Norm Nixon. Now, that deal was a big shocker at the time in Los Angeles due to Nixon's popularity in L.A. Do you remember how you felt when you got word of that deal coming down?
Oh, Rick, I was elated. I was so excited. The Lakers were a team that I had been following ever since I was in elementary school. I was a big Laker fan. So to hear that I was getting traded to the Lakers was like a dream come true. So I was extremely excited and obviously ready to go.
And, I mean, the start of the Showtime era, as you were teamed with Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy, you were just 22 years old at the time. Were you got to tell me you were a little intimidated, right?
I was nervous. The first day of practice for me, because I was holding out for the Clippers and then got traded. So the first day of practice, you walk in the gym and I'm there, early because I'm a rookie, number one, and I'm trying to get myself a little familiar with what's going on. And, Magic comes walking in, Coop comes walking in, Kareem comes walking in. I'm looking going, Jesus Christ. These guys, I've been watching these guys on TV for the last 4 or 5 years. And, now I'm about to be on the court with them. So it was a little intimidating, but it was also very satisfying to know that I had got to the point of being able to be a professional basketball player.
Byron Scott on my radio show with Rick Garcia. NBA championships for you, Byron, in 85, 87, and 88. I'm going to say it so you don't have to. Greatest team ever in NBA history. You can agree or disagree with me.
Absolutely agree with you, Rick.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree.
And that's not because you were a Laker and I was a Lakers fan. I have to say, I think about you guys facing today's Golden State Warriors or LeBron's Cavs. I don't know how they match up with you guys.
Yeah, that's what I tell people all the time. In a 7-game series, and first of all, when you look at both those two teams, and this is no disrespect to Steve Kerr or Ty Lue, the guys that they had coached, but Pat Riley is one of the greatest coaches of all time. So we also had that, going for us as well. We had a great mind on that sideline. But, yeah, I look at all those teams, and I look at the matchups, and I'm still trying to figure out how any of those guys are going to guard Kareem. How any of those guys are going to guard James or guard Magic. So, and it is, in today's game, even back then, it's a matchup. It's all about the matchups. And, we're talking about 3 Hall of Famers, on one team that played way before they started doing all this, big 3 stuff with guys joining each other. That was formed a long time ago. And you could look at the Celtics and say they had a big 3 with Parrish, Larry Bird and McHale. So, I just look at the matchups like you, Rick, and I look at the way the game was played. It was much more of a big man game. The only thing I think that would make it a little bit more attractive as far as how long the series would go is if it depends on what rules you're using. Are you using the rules in 2000 or are you using the rules in the 1980s? Yeah. That's the only thing that would make it a little bit different.
How would those teams have stacked up against the Kobe-Shaq Lakers?
I don't think they would have beat them either, to be honest with you. I mean, Kobe and Shaq were so dominant, and then the pieces that they had around them were so good. Everybody understood their role. You look at Robert Orr, you look at D-Fish, you look at Rick Fox. All those guys were, really good basketball players in a great system. So I just don't see how they would have beat those guys as well.
So you're saying that the Magic Lakers would have beaten the Kobe Lakers is what you're saying then?
Well, I am definitely saying that.
Okay, all right. No, I'm parse words.
Yeah.
All right, you played, by the way, with Kobe and Shaq in '96, right? When you returned to the Lakers after you played in Indiana and Vancouver. What was your impression of those two guys?
Well, I love them both, and to this day, I love them both, and still have a relationship with both of them. Even though it's kind of fleeting now that we've all kind of gone our own separate ways, and those guys are doing their own thing. But I really enjoyed that year that I had with Shaq and Kobe. Kobe was a very, very intelligent young man who was very driven, who knew what he wanted. Him and I would sit down often and talk about the league. And he always talked about the 80s. You know, he wanted to play in that era. He loved the way we played the game. And I would always tell him, I said, no, I'm glad you didn't play in that era. That means I would have had to come off the bench. I didn't need to do that. So, you know, he was that good. But he really had a vision of being, as he told me, he wanted to be one of the greatest players of all time. And Shaq was just a monster, but he was such a teddy bear around everybody. You know, he was one of those guys that's very fun-loving. He's playing in the locker room. He's wrestling in the locker room against Rudy Garcia, our equipment manager. Yeah. You know, he was just one of those fun-loving guys that had just enjoyed life. But when you put him on that basketball court and it was time to win, that's when that man was serious, and there was really no stopping him. So I had a really good year, you know, that last year that I played with the Lakers with those two guys. It was really a lot of fun.
Byron Scott on my radio show. Byron, you became a coach in what I like to refer to as the selfish era, whereas the Showtime era was about the consummate team, but what followed were players who really did not like sharing the basketball. That had to be tough to coach.
It was. It didn't happen for me right away, Rick. The first coaching job I took was Jersey, and we did have a little bit of that. We cleaned house the next year and got Jason Kidd, and we had Kenyon Martin. We drafted Richard Jefferson and some of those guys, and we were able to take off and get to 2 finals. And that team was a mirror of the way the game should be played, you know, because we had a great point guard in Jason Kidd who was more than willing to pass the ball, and those guys knew if they ran on the break, they would get the ball. So we had a very selfless team in New Jersey from the time I was there. I got lucky, and I got the job at, you know, New Orleans, and we had another great point guard in Chris Paul who was just like that as well, just wanted to share the ball. So it was good for me the first couple of times around. As I got into Cleveland, when I coached Cleveland, it wasn't that bad. I had really good guys, just young. When I came back to the Lakers, you know, we had Kobe who was about to retire. We just didn't have a whole lot of talent. We had a whole lot of young guys, but we just didn't have a whole lot of talent. But watching the games today, when you watch teams that aren't successful, most of the times it's because they have no camaraderie. You know, they don't like each other. They don't get along. And you have everybody that wants to be a star, and certain guys don't want to do their job. And what I mean by their job, if you're a rebounder, you know, and I had meetings with players that would tell me I could do more. I said, but I don't need you to do more. I need you to do these specific things for us to be successful. And in turn, if we're successful, you're successful. But you have a lot of guys who are so selfish nowadays, and they want to be on ESPN, on the highlights and these things of that nature, that they forget about the whole concept of playing the sport of basketball, which is winning.
You played with Magic, Kareem, Shaq, Kobe, among many others. Who's the greatest basketball player you've ever played with?
Oh, my God. Wow. You know what? I've been saying this for a while, Rick. I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has a number as far as points. He had a shot that was unmistakable. It's unstoppable. Hasn't been duplicated, which is kind of funny to me because when you have a shot like that, I don't understand why guys haven't tried to learn how to shoot that shot. But I think he's the greatest of all time. I mean, he's, you know, the league's leading scorer in the history of the NBA. His longevity speaks for itself as well. And again, like I said, he had the one shot that nobody could stop. Couldn't block. You just hoped he missed it.
Yeah, that's skyhook.
So so I have to go with the captain as the greatest of all time.
I was lucky enough to cover the game that he broke the all-time scoring record. Do you remember what city that was in?
Absolutely, Rick. It was in Vegas, and he needed 21 points to do it.
And Magic kept giving him the basketball, even though Kareem didn't want it.
That's right. That's right. Magic was like, listen, Magic told us when he needed about 50 points, no matter what's going on, I'm going to be the one that's going to pass him the ball when he breaks the record. So everybody just knows that. And we all knew it because, you know, Magic had come in and Kareem was just the man. And Magic was our leader. We all knew that. Magic was our leader, but Kareem was the man. And he did throw that ball to him and, skyhook on the right baseline over Mark Eaton to give him his 21 points to break the record.
Broke the record. Byron Scott with us on my radio show. Let's talk about today's Lakers. Anthony Davis joins LeBron James. Do the Lakers have enough to get back to the NBA championship?
I think they do. I really do. I think Kuzma will continue to develop. And as he's already stated, he thinks he can be the third star. I think they have some younger guys that a lot of people are sleeping on as far as being able to shoot the ball, because that's the one thing they were truly missing, last year. They just didn't have enough shooters. I think Cook is a good, good addition, a guy that can come off the bench and make shots for you that was up in Golden State. But I think for me, the guy that I was really surprised for the Lakers to be able to pull off and get, and really I think I forgot about him like a lot of other people, was Avery Bradley.
Oh, okay.
Avery was hurt, over the last year or two, but when he's healthy, I love watching him play because he's a mad dog on the defensive end. He can defend 2 or 3 positions, and he can make shots. So I think if he's healthy and he plays up to his capability, and I'm not forgetting about Boogie Cousins,
yep,
and JaVale McGee and all the other guys that they have, I think this team has a great chance of getting back to the finals, barring injuries, obviously.
And down the hallway, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George going to try to stop them. Who's the best team in L.A.?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know me. I'm going to go purple and gold because you got two of the best players. You look at the top 5 or top 6 players in this NBA right now, 2 of them are playing with purple and gold on.
Yeah.
And you can't say that about the Clippers. You can definitely say Kawhi is up there. But Paul George is probably in that top 10 somewhere. But, Anthony Davis, he's a hybrid. He's different. And then LeBron is still LeBron James. And I think with last year being such a disappointing finish, I got a chance to see him at the Lakers golf tournament. He was there, and I talked to him briefly, and he said he was just resting up, healing up, and getting ready. And that to me was music to my ears because this was in March this was after the season. So this was in June, a little after June. And I was like, man, that boy's going to come back on a mission. So it's going to be interesting to see. But I think one thing that's going to be absolutely clear, Rick, it's going to be great watching basketball in Los Angeles this year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a lot of basketball where you're going to see superstars every single night.
Every night, yeah. Exactly.
So, as an analyst now, as a former great player, as a former coach, you now get to tell us who's going to wind up in the NBA Finals, Byron Scott.
Well, I'm gonna pick something right now that's going to be real early. But Rick, you got to give me a chance to reserve the right to change my mind when it comes when you get to
the playoffs.
Before 2020.
All right.
Before 2020.
Fair enough.
I just want to have a chance before January of 2020 hits that I can say, this is not going the way I thought. I'm still going right now. I'm going with the Los Angeles Lakers and the Philadelphia 76ers in the finals.
Okay, 76ers. That's an interesting pick right there. They're loaded too. Absolutely loaded too. Let's see if they can pull that together. Well, we're gonna have you back right around 2020 then to see how this all plays out for you and give you another chance on that to see if you're right or wrong. Ladies and gentlemen,
Rick, that sounds good to me.
Former NBA great Byron Scott on my radio show. Thanks so much, Byron. And we look
Rick,
forward
anytime.
You got it. We look forward to chatting with you again. Byron Scott with us here on my radio show.